Welcome to the Goodish Girls, guys. My name is Dallas, and today I have two amazing authors to help me wrap up our Indie Talk month of July. I have authors A.D.B and Parsons. So welcome to the show, ladies. This is so exciting. This is amazing. The entire month of July, every week we have dropped an episode that is Indie Talk. We have not done any other episodes this month. So I have learned so many things about being an indie author. You guys do a lot of work. It's wild.
I had no idea.
And every time I do one of our Indie Talk episodes, I get more questions. Like I get my questions answered, then I leave going, oh, what about this? And how do you take care of that? And how do you do this? And what about these things? So it's so amazing. And I'm so grateful that all of you guys are taking the time to hang out with me and chat with me and teach me and our listeners about what it's like to be an indie author. So the goal of the episode is to have fun, showcase your books, of course, and you as indie authors, but also to maybe help other people in the future who are wanting to become an indie author, help their journey be a little less stressful than yours was before. So welcome to the show. This is so exciting. Yay.
It is exciting.
So as we are getting started, I want to, again, highlight your book and your story and your journey. So my first question is, tell me about your book and or your series, and what was the feeling that you felt when you typed that final line, whether or not it was your first draft or whether or not it was when you were like turning it in to be printed. You knew for that moment that you had completed it for either the first time or the last time. So, Kale, what was that feeling like? And tell our listeners a little bit about your story.
First of all, with the feeling of it, it was an utterly surreal moment. I am somebody with a lot of big ideas, but my follow through is garbage. And this was like, aside from, like college degrees, this was the first thing that I followed through with, a huge project that took so long that it just like rounds of edits and so much effort and so much work that I felt unstoppable. I'm going to take the literary world by storm and it's going to be great. And so I felt really amazing with that. And I felt like I've got 4 books now, and I feel that way with every single one. It's just been incredible. And so my very first one, this is my very first little baby here. Love by a Landslide. Sorry, my lighting isn't the best. I need to get like a ring light because it's either too much or not enough. But Love by a Landslide, and I write adventure rom-coms. So outdoorsy, very Pacific Northwest, Lost in the Woods. Specifically, this series is called the Stranded in Leavenworth series. So it's set in a tiny little Bavarian themed town called Leavenworth in the like central Washington area. And there's 3 books in the series. This is my first guy here. And they're just about getting lost in the woods and having that forced proximity and all of that. And then I've got my newest series. That's the first book of my newest series. It's called Capture My Flag.
This is the one that caught my eye when I was on your page.
Yeah, this is
it's so cute.
Thank you. It's the first book in my Camp Clandestine series. So it's set at an adult summer camp. So just fun, ridiculous debauchery abounds. So I've got others that I'm working on in that series. So, but just huge sense of accomplishment.
Exciting. Ooh. Yeah, I can imagine that like so much work and effort goes into that. And then to write that final line and be like, whew, I did it. Yeah. So A.D.B, tell us a little bit about your story and your series, and what was that moment like for you?
Supposed to follow that 4 books. Are you kidding me? I've got one book.
But how many pages is that book?
Oh yeah, pages. It looks like 3 of mine.
It's like 800 pages. This is Lorelyi, the Paladin. She is the first book in what I hope is going to be a 4-book series. When I wrote it at the time, I'm not educated. I'm like not formally educated. I'm brand new to the book world. So I didn't really know what I was getting into. I knew I had this story for a long time. I kind of was one of those people that was on the literary hiatus for a long time. Like just over involved in work, didn't pick up any like real hobbies. I'd like spend 15-minute increments at my job writing little tidbits from what I dreamed would be the story. And finally, I read Alcatraz. My grandfather died, threw me into a huge funk to distract my mind. I started reading Alcatraz, blasted through all those books in 2 weeks, and then I was like, I could write one of these. I just decided, and that was the beginning. That was the start of that villain story. So she was the one who popped up. She was not my initial character that I had intended on writing. I actually started her mother's story probably 2 times before I opened up with a Lorelyi, because I already have everyone's lives planned out. I just had to figure out where I was starting. Then she popped up and she's like, no, this is my moment here. So it took a year, I think, to write it, 8 months in edits. And I can tell you, because I was on break from work when I was finishing up, getting ready to push her out to A.D.B. And it was like crunch time for tax people. It was like I think I pushed her out on August 28th, and I had to go back to work on September 1st. And so I was like, I need this done right now. So we're talking up till like 5 a.m. every morning. Like every time I got it kicked back from KDP, I was like, I gotta fix it. And then finally, when it went through, it was like, I'm one of those people that has that mental checklist. And every time I do something that I'm excited about, I give myself a check. Like I'm Monica on Friends, essentially. If I go pack it, check. Got my bathroom stuff, check. And I finally got this out on Amazon. It was like this massive check, and just like, I can live again. Like I can have a social life. My friends hadn't seen me in months. I was like, I have to do this. So it was the greatest feeling of all time to get this off of my brain, which has been there since I was 15 and out in the world. So she's everything I wanted her to be. And I've got book 2 in edits right now, which is what I'm kind of flustered about today, because I'm getting all this information back on it right now as we're speaking. But book 2 is in edits, and book 3 is in 22,000 words right now.
Wow.
So, I know, super excited.
You guys are incredible. I know that authors, even though you're currently publishing a book, you are still writing behind the scenes. But in my brain, I always imagined it as like, once you're publishing that book, you're not writing at all. And then once that's all published, then you start at page 1 and start typing your letters. But you guys are constantly working on this series and writing that next chapter. So it's truly like nonstop ever flowing of words, which is wild and amazing.
It's also
so incredible.
challenging when you have an idea that's living in your brain and it's not a part of the series you're currently working on. I have had a lot of different people in my head interrupting my flow. And I'm like, I got shit to do. I got people's story to write before I go do this other thing that has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. It's like these people are constantly just like jabbering away. So like right now, this is the first time that I've ever been working on, I'm working on 4 different projects at the same time right now. And I need to just like focus on one, and it's super hard.
It's like having multiple personalities. There's always somebody screaming at you in the back of your head, like, pay attention to me. And it's like, it's not your turn. It's not your turn right now.
It's not your turn. Sit down. I'll
take a number. Take a number.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to describe without sounding crazy, but that's literally it. Like I've had actual arguments with Lorelyi where this is not where the story's going. She's like, yeah, it is. Like, okay.
Yeah, that 100%. And it's the weirdest thing, isn't it? To where you're like, oh yeah, this is the direction they're going. And they're like, no, not really. Actually, we're going to go this way. And it's like, no, you're going to go this way. And then it's not until you give in and say, okay, fine, I guess you're right. You're going this way. Then it actually, at that point, it's like, okay, now it feels authentic. It feels correct. It's like, clearly I was trying to force them into something they did not want to do.
That's 100% accurate.
I love that you guys are bonding over this, because when I have interviewed authors previously, there have been some that describe their characters that way, as in they physically are talking to them and having a conversation with them. And I had never heard that before. And I was like, is that like a thing? But and as I'm talking to more and more of you, it is a thing, right? Yeah. So for authors who are working on your books, if your characters are talking to you and you feel crazy, it's okay.
What does that Hatter say? We're all mad here.
Oh yeah. We're all
Yep.
When we're diving into the indie talk and the indie discussions, one of the questions that I have had in my brain that I want to talk about is pen names. I want to talk about why you guys might choose a name, how to choose your name, what is the importance of having a pen name and or not having a pen name? Kale Parsons, is that a pen name for you, or is that just a smaller abbreviation of your first and middle name?
It's an abbreviation. I thought that for some reason it would keep me anonymous, but one of my biggest fans is my like super religious Aunt Shirley over in Minnesota. So it's like I failed. And so I almost wish that I would have come up with something different, not to remain anonymous, but just because then like everyone like introduces me like, oh, this is KL, or I'm, it's just kind of like confusing. So
Right.
sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I would have gone with like a name as opposed to initials.
That's fair. So, Kale, if you were to start again today for the first time as a brand new author, do you think that you might do like a different abbreviation that's less like your name, or do you think you would fully go to a pen name?
I think I would have gone fully with a pen name. And not necessarily now at this point, like the anonymity it's not as important. It also could possibly be because I'm still small potatoes. It's like I'm nowhere near Navessa Allen. Like that's not my world yet. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
Could
One day.
have tomorrow.
But-
You're gonna wake up.
baby.
Yeah, but I think I would have probably gone with not necessarily initials, and maybe not necessarily my initials, and just gone with something completely different. But I haven't had an issue with being like harassed or anything along those lines. Like I feel like people who find out that I'm an author in my everyday life are like, oh, that's cool, and they're super supportive and all of that. So I just think it's like whatever speaks to people. Like if they want to keep things anonymous and they're not necessarily planning on doing like events and going out and about and meeting people to where people will see their face. If they're keeping it to where they're like going faceless, then yeah, pen name's great. It's definitely going to help to kind of have that separation. But if, it's just kind of whatever feels right to you, whatever you want to see on a book that you've written is what you should go for.
A.D.B, what are your thoughts on that?
I have probably a very unique and different outlook on all that. In my previous life, I worked for law enforcement as a 911 operator, and the very last thing you wanted in the whole world was for people to get a hold of like your full name. And I have gone through the disgruntled customer, I use customers lightly, but disgruntled customers where they look you up and then they call you at the office and they say, I know where you live and I'm going to follow you home. And so I've gone through like 20 years of avoiding using my actual name online. I had no public social media presence until I decided to do this, and I set it on A.D.B. It is my initials. Google's outed me. So they got a hold of like my actual name when somehow when I did the KDP or when I did the copyright business, and they've got my whole name out there. So it's just in the world now. It's just like, oh my God. But it was initially to protect my full name. And I didn't want to give a whole different name because I did want to feel some sense of possession over it. Like A.D.B is my initials. It's mine. I can back that up versus like if, I was Sassafras Jones, I just made that up. Like I did want that little bit of ownership. So I'm not good at social media. I'm really bad at this kind of stuff. I'm very good at hiding behind not a camera, but like a microphone, we'll say. And I've actually hired Nicole Joy to help me with my social media presence because I am so innately bad at it that she actually found me when I had like 42 people, and she messaged me. She's like, honey, do you need help? Like, would you like some help? And I was like, that would be wonderful. Thank you. So I chose it to protect my privacy. But the book community is, I'm like, we're talking completely different sides of people and of the spectrum. And versus on one side where I was dealing with nobody likes to talk to you. Nobody's calling because they're having a great day and they just, want to chat. Like it's the worst of what everybody has to go through. To now I get to talk to these wonderful, supportive people all the time. Like all I ever get is sweet messages and this was great. I loved your book. It's a very different state of mind, and it's taken me some time to get used to, but it's so wonderful to like kind of be reintegrated to a real positive side of society and see that again. I love how Book Talks kind of brought together all these girls that, and guys for that matter, that, I just weren't popular when I was young. Like, I was a super nerd when I was young. I was into Lord of the Rings, and nobody knew about it because it was like not cool to be like into like vampire books or, elf books. And so for all these years, I worked with the Brute Squad who didn't, I don't tell nobody that I was a nerd. I just gotta keep up with the guys. But then coming over here, and it's like all these other girls have been like, oh yeah, I didn't read for like 10 years, or I didn't get to do this, and now and everybody's just living their best lives, and it's very liberating, and I love it over here.
Follow-up question. Do you feel like if you could restart today, would you still choose your initials, or if you weren't outed by Google? Reference. If Google's not going to out you, hypothetically, if you had to restart, would you still choose your initials, or would you choose a totally different name, like looking back on it now?
Nah, I'd still stick with A.D.B. I didn't, I just had, again, I didn't want to give my book to any certain name. So I couldn't land on my married name. I couldn't land on my maiden name. I wanted it to be simple in mine. And everybody calls me A.D.B. at work. They initial me, everything A.D.B. So I'm like, you know what? That's mine. I'm happy with it. I'm glad I stuck with it. And I'm a little pissed at Google for outing me, but it's let go and let God.
Shame on you, Google. Should know better. I have also heard of authors who start with either a pen name or their real name or initials, but then when they want to write in different genres, they will then use a pen name for that other genre. And I think that's very interesting because I feel like you never really know who wrote the book that's in front of you. So I think it's kind of a fun mystery to have as well.
One of my favorite authors did that, Anne Rice.
Oh, I did not know Anne Rice did that.
I don't know her pen name offhand, but she wrote the Sleeping Beauty series under a different name.
That's amazing. Okay. How exciting. I didn't know that.
Those are her Bound Chicka Wow books.
It's a really strong business decision if you are writing under like a different genre or something that has a pretty, like it deviates from what you typically write. Because if I write adventure rom-coms, that's like they're spicy, like you know what you're going to get. But if I'm going to go write, say, erotica or a Bigfoot shifter or something like that, I'm going to pick a different pen name. And it might be something simple like Cat Parsons, to where it's connected. But then you can say, okay, from a Cat Parsons book, you can expect XYZ, whereas a KL Parsons this. And I've heard of a lot of authors doing that, specifically in like the indie author community, because it helps to keep customers happy. It helps to keep the readers happy because if they're like, oh, well, I don't like the speculative side of things, I only like the like contemporary rom-com side of things, then they know which pen name to stick with and that they're not going to like be disappointed necessarily or caught off guard by trying out a different avenue of products that you've dropped.
That makes sense, honestly. And it keeps it more organized too. So you could be like, okay, today I'm going in and I'm Cat Parsons and I'm writing this genre, or then, today I'm KL Parsons and I'm going in and I'm writing these books today. So I think it might help keep the author themselves more organized on where or what mood they're writing in or the vibe is as well. I also want to talk about book tours and kind of budgeting for those as an independent author. And I don't necessarily mean like the big, I'm going across the United States or a different country kind of tours. I'm talking about even when you're going to this bookstore for a signing and then I'm going to this bookstore for a signing and then I'm going here, here, here. So how do you plan that? How do you budget for that? And how, did you go about decided that you wanted to do that in the first place, or is that something that either of you have done before?
So I'm up in like Western Washington area, and I have to say I love living up here so much because there are so many awesome indie bookstores and romance specific indie bookstores up here that I've developed so many connections. And typically speaking, when you drop a new book, they are like, yes, let's set up a time for you to come in. And it usually, like, there's different bookstores do it different ways. But usually they don't like charge you a table fee for those kinds of things if you're just going to have a table at a bookstore for either a release or for like a couple hours during their opening hours. And it's really great. At least that's how it is in my neck of the woods. I don't know if that's how it is everywhere else, but they're just ravenous for having indie authors come in, and they're such champions for everybody up here. It's just been great. But then I also make sure to work in tables at like different events that are more like cons or expos or those kinds of things. And it just kind of depends. Like I tend to prefer to go with events that are tried and tested. I have done a couple of like movies to varying degrees of success. And I mean like varying degrees of success. And so I would just recommend do your research, stay within your budget, but find out information, reach out to people who've been to them, who are going to them, people who are organizing them, reach out. If you're an author and you're writing, usually you're pretty excited to talk about like the author writing journey and like that whole process. So people are willing to share information. But I love going and doing the events and going into bookstores and talking about my book, and it's the best. There's ways to do it like on the cheap too, to where if your budget's small, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to have access to people. There are definitely like varying options that you can go and do. You don't have to drop like thousands of dollars for some super expensive con or whatever. There's ways to go about it to where you don't have to drop too much in advance, aside from buy copies of your books to sell.
That was going to be my follow-up question, is when you're going to these indie bookstores and you're calling and saying, hey, I have a book coming out, I want to, do a signing here. Are you bringing those books and then they're selling them, or are they buying those books in advance and then keeping them on the shelves, or how does that work? Or does it depend on the store?
Yes to all of that. It just depends on the store. I have some stores that they will purchase the book from a dealer from like Ingram Spark, for instance. They'll buy them and I'll show up and I'll just get a cut of their sales. Other times I provide the books to them. They put it in their system, they ring it up, and then I get a cut of their sales. Other times I go in and I sell like with my own little like square to where I take payment and everything. And then I give them a percentage of what I sold. Other places I go in and they're like, hey, just come hang out. Don't give us any money. Just come hang out, sell your books, and go home and have a great day. So it really varies which bookstores, do what and everything. But each of them have value and merit, because sometimes maybe you're not going to be walking away with a ton of money, but you are going to be able to make bonkers connections with people in that community. And other times when you're like, man, I don't even feel like I sold many books, but I'm walking home with a decent little chunk of change. So there's merit to like the different styles, and it's just a matter of reaching out to the bookstore and finding out what their preferences are, maybe reaching out to authors who've gone and tabled at a bookstore, and then they can then really provide you with like the straight shit on what's going down.
Do your research for sure before you go to any of the places, because you just never know. But I think you're right though, that people are very vocal online, especially in the bookish community. I think we work really hard to have each other's backs and call maybe certain bookstores or events or cons out when they're not doing the right thing. So a very simple search online, I think you could steer you in the right direction. Make those connections so that you can go, hey, I saw that you went to this event last year. How was it? Or I saw that you went, a couple months ago. Did you have a good time? Was it worth it? Was it worth the money? Right? So A.D.B, how has your journey been so far?
I struggle being in front of people very much. So I had my best friend had reached out to Barnes & Noble for me, and they sent me a form saying, hey, this date would work great. Just fill this out. And no, I didn't. And I get very anxious, the idea of being put in a public forum. So I don't have anything to show for my my efforts in public. The PR boxes are about as wild as I've ever gotten as far as like reaching out to people. I would love to get the gumption to go and be brave enough to do a book signing. For whatever reason, it gives me the like sweats, and I get real nervous, and I just haven't done it yet. I know that it's something I have to do. Nicole keeps sending me like links for people who are doing book cons and stuff, like, hey, they'll represent you at a table. Just send them this information. So I did fill one out. But that form is about as far as I've gotten in that journey.
Good.
Yay!
That's good though. Step by step.
It's
Yeah.
terrifying. I mean, she only came into my life in like April, I think. So I like zero public before that. Like it was strictly TikTok posts, and like, if Lorelyi survives, that's great. If not, I'm just gonna keep working. And then again, she came in, and like I've gone up to from 40 something to 300 people on my Instagram now, which is wild for me. I know it's like small potatoes, but it's wild for me. So I just
step by step.
it is, and I'm trying. I gotta be braver, and I'm just not yet. I'm trying. My goal is to someday be one of those people who goes to like one of those big like book balls. Like everybody gets dressed up in like those gowns, and I'd love to do something like that if I could ever be brave enough to do it.
You know, A.D.B, I truly don't feel like you are alone in this feeling. I can't help but believe that there are so many authors out there who probably struggle with this same feeling. And maybe that's why they haven't taken that first step to even write their book, right? Because they know that like after writing your book comes marketing your book and getting out there and talking to people and doing all these things. So I am so proud of you for still taking that step and taking the time to put your story into the world and doing these things that are hard and kind of uncomfortable, right? Like coming on podcasts. I try to make it as fun and chill and laid back as possible, but even I get nervous, right? Right before I go into the recording room, I'm like, "Whew, okay, gotta take my breaths and everything's gonna be fine and I can't forget anything," right? So I think that it's so cool that you are taking these steps, and it's so awesome to see you grow and start shining even in the small steps that you are taking. It's incredible, and I can't wait for one day, maybe even years from now, that's okay, it's going to be A.D.B in conversation with Dallas from the Goodish Girls in real life, IRL.
That would be sick. That would be awesome.
Whenever you're ready, you come to Florida. I will book it with a bookstore. We will sit down together and we'll talk about your book and we will invite friends and it'll be fine. Okay, let's talk about it. Making merch for your book. How do you know when it's time to make merch, right? First of all, how do you know what type of merch you need and what merch like went
I
well?
love it.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, that's so cute.
I love it.
Yes. Okay. If you are listening to this and not watching it, we are looking at the Lorelyi candle that has been made. It is so cute.
So wonderful.
Is that for sale on your website?
This is
a Instagram.
This is created by a gal named Chelsea over at the Prancing Pony Books, who she's a huge fan of Lorelyi. She's like one of my original cheerleaders. She read it and she's like, "Oh my God, I love this. By the way, I have a little store. I make candles." And I'm like, "Have you ever thought about making like a character-based candle if you're into book talk?" And she's like, "Tell me more." So I'm like, "Well, Lorelyi scent is listed in the book, and what would you think about this?" And she took that idea and ran. So she's made Lorelyi candles. She's made Daedalus candles. This one is, I call it the Loreless because it's their scents that she put together. So they're for sale on her website, and she's got an Etsy, she's got an IG, she's not on TikTok, but she is literally the sweetest creature you will ever meet. Like the biggest cheerleader. She sent me a package the other day. I ordered one candle, and she sent me like all these handmade little goodies that say like author on it. She made me a Kindle bag. These are all handmade by her.
It's so cute.
Isn't it beautiful?
Love it.
She sends stickers. She sent me, tell me this isn't cute, slow burn matches.
Oh, I love it.
It actually says slow burn on here.
Yes.
She's just got the cutest little store. So like you could get those candles over there, but that's like my only like merch. And that was totally spontaneous. I had never thought about actually putting together anything like that before. So that's all I got.
And that's fair, right? Like you started out with candles, which is amazing. And I will link that to our show notes. So if you are interested in looking at the Lorelyi candles and or other cute goodies that creator has on her website, it will be in our show notes down below. So KL, what is your experience with making merch for your book as an indie author? When did you know it was time to make merch? And how did you know what kind of merch you wanted?
Yeah, so I learned a lot by going to events. And once I got my booth or table all set up, then I tend to walk around the venue and eye up people's setups. And I kind of got a read on like what other people are doing and figured out what other people are doing makes the most sense for my books and then also makes the most sense for my budget. And so my merchandising like stuff it's not huge. I definitely had some like art prints created by some artists. And so then those I don't sell, I just give them away at events when people buy my book. I found so with my most recent book, Capture the Flag, right? I got this steamy art print. Let's see if you can see of
God,
of a shower scene.
the hand on the hip. I can't.
Yeah, and his hand
Hell
somewhere
yeah.
else that you
I'm
can't see.
obsessed.
So that's Hudson and Leilani, and this is
Yes.
little bit of
Suddenly I need to get your
fun
book.
there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And
I
then
need to
this
get
is an
this
art
book.
print that I had done for my first book. And they're stuck in the woods
Oh.
together, right? And stranded in the woods together. And
Adorable.
she goes out to go to the bathroom, and she hears the sound, and of course he comes running out in his,
Oh, yes,
his
in his
hiking
boxers, of
boots and
course.
with a hatchet, to protect her.
Hell yeah.
I most recently made these little thingies, which on one side has it has all of my books. So it has my series and then my newest
So
book
smart.
on there with the
Yeah.
tropes listed. Cause that's how a lot of readers, I feel like, shop for books.
Mhm.
Sometimes they won't
Okay,
even read
yep.
the back. They're like, oh, characters in their 30s and it's like outdoorsy and it's only one hammock. Okay,
Mhm.
done, handled. And then
Yep.
on the front, I've got like my leading men. And then I have a thing that says,
such a good idea.
it says, I leave book reviews like a good girl. And it's a sticker. Cause again, like the readers are ravenous for stickers. And so,
Yeah.
up here, I have them saying like, you're not allowed to
cute.
use this until you review a book, basically, they're watching
Oh, I
you.
love that
So
idea.
It's like a reward.
Exactly. And then I've made
That is some
stickers.
top tier marketing.
I've made
top
stickers
tier.
that like have to do with my books. Like this is for the first one and it's never too old
I
for a
love
candy raid.
them.
I made some bracelets. These were pretty
Wow.
cheap to do to Camp Clandestine. And then I do have my name on the back. These were inexpensive to get in bulk too, but like just fun, silly little things like that. Like bookmarks.
Yeah,
It's just,
bookmarks.
people
So
love
that's
swag.
okay. So that's considered merch.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
even know what's considered
Yeah.
merch.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All
Mhm.
that's
I don't-
considered merch. Whether
yeah,
you go from
I don't
stickers
sell any of that.
with, like hats and T-shirts, like it's all if it has it has like your character, your book, your story, your name, it's merch.
Okay. Then I've got. I don't have any shower scenes, but I do have stickers of Lorelyi and her brothers.
Yeah.
Oh my
Nice.
gosh, that's so cute. Oh, when they go for their walk.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Oh, that's
that would-
pretty.
That would be the altar scene.
Yep.
And then I have this one. It happens to be Lorelai's very favorite position, but
Oh.
yeah. So we've got
I
that.
love it.
I might have to put a little blur over that.
Oh, I forgot. And everything online has a little heart over it. I guess that one doesn't have it.
I see a little heart over it now.
Yeah, so I've got some naked stickers.
those
I
are
have
so
stickers.
cute,
Okay.
though.
So apparently I have a little bit of merch.
And you both went very different directions in your merch, which is amazing because I think you have so much creative freedom with building merch and you can kind of choose what you want. And I'll phrase the question that I kind of said earlier as well. If you were restarting, if you were starting at the very beginning, what would be the first piece of merch that you would get? Or if you were recommending to a brand new indie author who's like, hey, I'm ready to get some merch. What do I do first? What would you say to them?
Me, I mean, the only thing I would change as far as what I've done is I would try and secure, like, I have to buy those individually. I love my artist. Like, she's great, but I do have to buy them individually. So I have to pay her like a certain amount of dollars for every 50 that I buy versus my cover art is mine outright. So I can do whatever I want with that.
Oh,
So-
interesting. Okay.
I can't use that stuff willy-nilly. Like I can print, Lorelai's portrait anywhere I want, as much as I want.
Mhm.
But for every one of those, it's an extra cost every single time on top of, the initial fees to even commission the art. So if I were to start all the way over, I would be like, do your best to secure your own art, like to make sure that you have the rights. If you can buy the commercial rights outright, and that way you can do whatever you want with your art, that would be my suggestion. Because I don't like having to, like with the Lorelyi candles, we bought 50. Like I bought 50 uses for the candles. So when Chelsea sells out, I'll go back and have to buy 50 more, which when you look at it as I initially paid $200 for the art, and then I just paid another $100 to do this, and then I paid another $100 to use it here. It's kind of like redundant, and it's the only part of the process that I kind of regret. Everything else, but that part of my merch, now that I know that's merch, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, so get ownership of the art that you're paying to have created.
Yeah.
I think that's fair advice. So, Kaya, what about you? If you could go, like if you were going to go back to the beginning, what would you get first?
I would get this. And this is a very unassuming, it's the size of a business card, but it has my cover and it has a teeny tiny little blurb with the tropes listed and my web address on the bottom. Yeah. I take these everywhere with me. I go to an airport. I go look at books and I slap some books that are similar. I go to the library with my son to help him pick out books. I go in the romance section. I slap a couple of these in there. I go into coffee shop, pin them up on a board. I put these SOBs everywhere. And I'm going to say, like, obviously, like when sales come in, I don't know where the sales came from, but like, I know that these have brought me some. And then too, like if you're chatting with somebody, you can easily just be like, oh, you read? Oh, here, and then that way you're not necessarily like inundating them with information. You can just be like, here, take this if you're interested. But I would have done these a little bit sooner. I got the tip from an author friend in like a writing community. And it's just like I've printed like thousands of these at a time because I just take them all over and paint the town,
That's
and it's
brilliant.
been great. Yeah, isn't it? I can't claim it. It's not my idea, but it is very brilliant. And then also, so like sometimes that instead of a business card too. Like if you don't want to spend money to buy business cards and this, get this as long as you make sure that it's got like your email address or something, email or a web address or something like that. Then on it. This is invaluable. And I'm also going to say, don't get too carried away by having custom art made, because that can get very, very expensive and it can just kind of like completely eat up the money that you potentially make for your book. And it's easy to get carried away. So figure out like what makes sense. Maybe an art print or a sticker or something like that for like each book. Something like this for your first in series, and like just take it easy. You don't have to have tons and tons of merch. There's ways to do it to where you're not breaking the bank in the process. But yeah, having a couple of giveaways here and there are great for like events and then for spreading the word about your books.
And then trying to find art, like even artists. I was one of the people that got scammed by the most recent art scam. That this girl got publishers. Like thank God it wasn't my like cover art stuff, but I had hired her for a separate commission. She had me sign a whole anti-AI thing. And I'm like, perfect. I want to be able to use it wherever. Turns out like I got sucked into this because I follow a ton of artists, but I got sucked into this like wormhole where the artist community had rooted her out, and she was burning through thousands and thousands and thousands of AI prompts, and she sold these covers to publishers, to artists who'd already published their books, and they were cover art. And I'm just like, I was distraught because it was like $500 that I had sent, and I'm just this is gone because this girl, I looked at her Instagram and it was gone. I'm like, perfect, like never heard from her again. And I texted Antoinette about it. I'm like, I'm sick right now. I just lost, like a $500 like commission on art. And she's like, oh my God, was it your cover art? And I'm like, no, thank you for putting that in very quick perspective. Like I didn't lose my entire book series because of a bad artist, but like find a way to verify your artists when you hire them. Like get references. I mean, I thought that I was doing okay with the whole commission thing, but or with the whole contract business, but no, I would say to any new artist, do not get, or any new writer, like, do your homework on your chosen artists before you
Get
lay money
referrals.
out. Yeah, that was
And
huge.
be careful if you're just posting online too, right? So from, I guess, a podcast perspective, not an author perspective, I'm looking to redo our logo. And I had posted on Threads, hey, looking for bookish like artists or bookish like, digital creators. And I was inundated. It was so overwhelming, so fast. People are commenting, pick me, pick me. And then they're emailing me. I didn't give them my email. They're in my Instagram inbox. They're in my Threads inbox. They're in my email inbox. They're double messaging, triple messaging. I got so overwhelmed that I stopped looking altogether. I was like, no, I'll come back to this at a later time. So be careful about how, if you're ready for that, like, if you're prepared, like, I know I'm going to get in today with a bunch of random people, then be ready. But if you're not ready for that, it did get very overwhelming very quickly. And I had to like delete a lot of things and block. They were like harassing, where everyone was really nice, but it was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was so wild. I did not see that coming.
I recommend that when you're ready to get artwork done, go creep on people who you respect on Instagram. Go check out like authors who have done stuff and like, that you follow and everything, and then slide into their DMs and be like, hey, I really love the artwork that you have. How was your time working with this person? Were they respectful? What were their rates? Like, ask those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
Majority of authors are down to share that kind of information. So I've done that many times, and I found awesome artists that do a great job that I've had authors vouch for before actually going into it and giving them money. So it's word of mouth. The community is huge, but I don't think I'll ever do like an open call like that, because like to your point, like it's insane. People will just like swarm. It's a lot.
It was
a lot to take in. So go look around, creep on people, find what they're doing, and then like dig around for some references.
I love DeviantArt. DeviantArt is old school, but they've got some great artists on there. That's like where I found not Lorelyi's artist, but I found a teacher who ran an art school, and one of her portraits, I was like, oh my God, I love this. So I reached out to her and we talked a little bit, and she's like, I'm like very religious. I can't really give my art to something that's got a lot of sexual content in it. However, I have some students who are great. And so she gave me like 4 different students, and Lori was one of them. And I just messaged her and she was just phenomenal. I swear to God, she was sent by God to me. When I saw the Lorelyi portrait the first time, I cried. It was the most beautiful thing I ever seen. So I got very lucky, but I also went very old school as far as looking for an artist. I was all over DeviantArt snooping around. So, and that panned out.
Well, this has been so fun.
Yes,
this is incredible. I learned so many things. Every time I get on here, I just, like, it's so amazing. I hope that this information is helping new authors or maybe listeners who are thinking about writing a book. It is possible. Indie authors do it every single day with these struggles. Maybe we struggle in putting ourselves out there. Maybe we struggle with keeping on task and keeping organized. But the more effort you put into it and the more time you put into it, you can do it. We believe in you. I believe in you. And I hope that one day we have authors come to us and say, hey, I listened to your indie talks and it helped me go through with the dreams that I've been wanting to go to and write your book. Write your book, guys.
Oh, yeah,
just write your book.
Oh, yeah.
You can do it. Write your book. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you liked this content, please subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more goodish updates.